Hello everybody, this is Derek and this is part 2 to the Mayan calendar video series. Recently I was talking about the different forms of consciousness within the Mayan calendar. In this video I'm going to be making a spreadsheet for the Mayan calendar from scratch, and these numbers in here were numbers from Dr. Kalaman's work. Dr. Kalaman is a Mayan calendar researcher. And if you take the number 13, multiply 20 to the power of 7, you're going to get about 16 billion or so, but 16.6 billion years. So is number 13, what does that mean? What does number 20, what does the exponent mean? 13 are the cycles, sort of like the 7 days and the 6 nights. 20 is the speed or the rate of increase, and 7, 6 are the exponential shift changes. So myself, I don't use the number 20. I don't see that as an even number. No, I use 19.69 because that is an even number. Or 256, which is thus 2 to the power of 8, divided by 13. Now in reality, it does not matter what number you put in there. It can be 19.69. You can do equals 256 divided by 13. You can put the 20. It really doesn't matter too much. But I'm going to put in the rate in cell number A1. So for the next cell, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use cell G1. And this is going to be the exponents. We can see we go from 7, 6, 5, and we keep on subtracting one down the line. So I want to do the lowest negative number that I want to use, and I recommend anywhere from -10 to -200. So I'm going to use -10. That's the smallest that I would like to use. And now what we'll do in cell E1 is we will take this number here, the rate, or A1, to the power of this exponent. Of course, in this case, it's -10. Multiply it by 13 for 13 cells. And that number is 0, but it really isn't. If you format the cells, maybe put a scientific number, it works out to 1.48 e -0.12. It's an extremely, extremely minute small number, and it's really small. Anyway, cell F1 is going to be the rate of ascension as far as the exponential increase per cycle. And what we will do to figure out this is we will take this 1969 number again to the power of 1 over 13. Why 13? Because we're putting this into 13 different cycles, and we'll subtract it by 1. You subtract it by 1 to get into percentage format, which is 0.26 or 0.25764. Nonetheless, what we do is we increase this by this percent each time. And I want to show you a quick little example on what we're going to be doing with it. In cell K1, I'm going to put a 1. Now, this isn't all that important in here. I'm going to put in a quick little formula, then delete it. So K1, I'm going to put 1. And in cell L1, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply K1 times this percentage in here. I'm going to put dollar signs on the F1. The reason why is because I'm going to end up copying and pasting, and if I copy and paste without the dollar signs, then it's going to copy F2 and F3, and I don't want it to do that. I want to only copy F1, which is why I'm putting dollar signs within this. So I'll put the number 1 on J1, and I want to go to 13. So to do a count, I'll just do equals J2 plus 1 and just copy this all the way down to 13. Alrighty, so there we go. And now what we can do is do some formulations, and the first one would be equals to this plus this, which would be equals to 1.26. I can copy and paste this all the way down to where I need to. Copy and paste this down, and what you're going to get at the very end is this 81 number right down here. It's every single time. It's got no choice but to, based on mathematics. If I put in 55 here, it's going to go to 55. I put in 22, it's going to go to 22. If I put in 11.14, it's going to go to 11.14. So basically what it's showing us is how things move on an exponential level the rate in which the Mayan calendar moves based on this. This is the rate in here, basically quite fast, I would say, but this just shows you how the 13 cells pretty much work. So we have on cell 1 minus 10. 1 plus 13 is 14, so we're going to take cell 14, and what we will do is we will take this number and we will add 1 to it. So it's going to be minus 9. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to cell F2, and in F2 what we're going to do is we're going to take this minute small number and multiply it by about 26%, or that number there. I'm going to keep on multiplying this number the whole way through. So once again, I'm going to put dollar signs between the F and the 1. And now what this number does on cell E2 is just a simple mathematical addition formula from here. We're going to take cell E1, and what we're going to do is we're going to add the increase that we have just had in here. The number is going to be 0, of course, because we're talking with small numbers. In fact, you're only going to see zeros until this number gets down to -2. So we're going to copy and paste the entire formula. Now we don't want to copy number 1 because that's where the root formulas come from. But from 2 to 14, I'm going to copy the entire 3 rows and all the the 3 columns and the 13 rows. And then I can keep on pasting. We're going to see that's -8. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep pasting until it goes to +7. And you're not going to you're not going to see any numbers in here until it gets to -2. And even on the -2, they're going to be tiny. They are going to be really tiny. So now we're going to see some small numbers on here. There's the small numbers. And they're going to get a little bit bigger. Alrighty, so that's -1. This is the cycle we are in now. We are at the to the power of 0, which is the galactic cycle. That's the current cycle we're on now. And basically what I want to do now is just keep copying and pasting it till we get to number 7. So we're at number 4. The numbers are getting huge. Oh, they're getting huge. Now we've got number signs. They're so big. So what you have to do, I guess, is you have to increase the cells a little bit. And when the numbers look like this, if they're that big of numbers, I need 1,000 separator like no other. So we'll format the cells, put in a 1,000 separator. We don't need no decimals. Now it looks better. And even in here, I still want 1,000 separators with this here. So we'll put the 1,000 separator in here. That looks a little bit better. So cycle 7, we got 14.928, which is what we got in here. 14.928, 619, 309. The numbers are the same because it's pretty much the exact same formulas. Now what I want to do is put this into days of the year. So we know that there are, we know this is set in years, so 14.928 years. What we're going to do is we're going to change it to days. And what we need to do for that, I'll use cell or column D. I'll take this number in here and I'm going to multiply it by the amount of days in a year, and that's 3.65.242199, or at least so the scientists say. Now that's obviously going to be a heck of a lot bigger than this, and I'm not going to really worry too much about days for that early of a process. And let me just paste it up to about this area here. It's pretty much not needed below the -5. Nonetheless, we can now have the amount of days. We'll put this into another 1,000 separator because it's just hard to read numbers that are big without the commas in it. There we go. So when cycle 3 started, cycle 3 was the regional cycle. Then there was approximately 36 million days to ascension. Quite a long time. Then when the great story, or his story, started, we were going through a 1.8 million day cycle that's now in the last few hundred days right now. Alrighty, so what we're going to do now is put the dates in here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use cell number A for this. What I will do is I'm going to just type in the day after Ascension. And they say it's 21st, December the 21st. So I'm going to put the next day. If it's If I find out later on that it's June the 7th, 2014, then I'll put June 8th, 2014 in this cell later on. It's that easy for me to fix because it's speculative or unsure that December the 21st is the date. And the reason why I want to do that day after is because when I take this number here and subtract it by these amount of days here, it's automatically, even though it's a small tick, it's going to reduce it by 1 day. There we are, December the 21st. What I'm going to do is, first thing, I'm going to put it in a better time format. I like looking at it this way here. Increase the size of the cell maybe. There we go. And the next thing that's very important is we always want to subtract A65. So what I'm going to do is put a bunch of dollar signs in here. There we go. And copy and paste this all the way to, well, where we need to. There we go. So now we got all of these dates in here, and we can see when -2 starts, it's December the 9th. We can see when -1 starts, it's April the 24th. This is the conscious co-creating cycle in here. This cycle here, I believe, is going to be about understanding things at different levels. At least that's what energy from source is coming to me. And as far as what these energies are going to have, I have no idea. We're going towards the ascension process because when the -3 energy starts, there's only going to be 0.62 days left before we reach the ascension process. So now if you want to switch this into, say, hours, what you can do is do a mathematical formulation. Say we'll use, say, cycle number H. And we take this number here, which is the amount of days left until ascension, and we will multiply it by 24, because there's 24 hours in a day. And we can take this number in here, which is 5,786, and maybe times it by 60 to give us minutes. And then you can take that same number and of this one here and multiply it by 60 again, and that will get you seconds. That's if you want to do any cool calculations. If we paste it up to the top part, we can see here that well, I need to copy and paste this even further higher, but what we can see here is that when we get to the start of cycle -6, and let's do some math. 7 plus 5 is 12, plus the 0 is 13. So 13 cycles will take us to about 7 seconds left. Now, if the rate of ascension is not, say, 1969, say it's 20, would it be still the same? No, it's going to be different. It's going to be, what do we got in here? 6.41. And what this is telling me just now is that 20 may have more relevance than the 19.69. But once again, what's the difference between 6.41 and 7? It really doesn't make that much. Now, what I find very interesting here is 6.5. If you multiply that number by 2, you're going to get 13. And this, I made a video a long time ago. You do a Google search, YouTube search for 13 seconds of infinity. This is why I say it, because we get to this point at 6.5. We keep running this cycle out, and once we get to this point in here, physically, literally we're going to go through like all of these massive infinite cycles in like 6.5 seconds. So obviously you're not going to notice too much of it. After all, we can only think in 24 frames per second. But when you use the law of polarity, I'm going to talk more about this in part 3. Basically what happens is you go all the way up here, you hit the ascension point, and then you work backwards. So the Mayan calendar, some people state, it just restarts and goes back over again. Well, what that would mean is you would now, instead of working backwards to the top part of the spreadsheet, you would now be working down. And then when you would get to this 6.4 mark, well, 6.5 times 2 is 13 seconds. I just find that to be very, very ironic nonetheless. And if you want to do anything with these numbers in here, it gives you the seconds, the minutes, and the hours. I'm not going to do anything more within this part in here. But So this is pretty much how the spreadsheet comes into play. Now a little bit of some information. If you want to make this look nicer, get a little creative, one of my big things is right below each number, just insert a new row. Because in here you can see how I have a little line in between to separate the two. You can separate the two, you can change the size of the fonts, you can change the fonts. It's totally up to you, but then if you insert the row like this, the formulas will stay the same. They're not going to get affected, and everything will work totally right on. So this is part 2. The next part of this video, what we are going to be looking at is the love energy, the positive energy, the hate energy, the negative energy, and show how it works within this Mayan calendar. Thank you for watching this video, and if you have any questions, please write them down below in the comments section below. In the final part, I will be doing a Q&A session on the Mayan calendar. Have yourself a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.